Hello मेरे प्यारे बच्चों, welcome back to our exam prep series. Today we are going to crack a super important chapter together, lines and angles. I know, some of you think geometry is a bit tricky, but trust me, just stick with me for a few minutes and you'll be an absolute pro. Let's get started.
Before we even open the textbook, just look around you for a second. The world is just full of lines. Think about these railway tracks. They're running side by side forever, but they never seem to meet, right? Or the lines in your notebook, the edges of your phone, they are literally everywhere.
Now, here's the cool part. All these lines, they follow a few secret rules, and they're actually really simple rules. Once you know them, this whole chapter becomes like a fun little game. So are you ready to become geometry detectives with me and uncover these secrets? Let's go.
So first up, let's talk about what happens when two lines, when they meet. You can think of it like their very first introduction.
It's super simple, really. When two straight lines on a flat surface, like, say, a piece of paper, cross each other, we call them intersecting lines. They just meet at one single point. Easy, right? And that one little meeting point, that's where all the magic is going to happen. So here, we have a line L and a line M crossing each other. And as soon as they intersect, bam! 4 angles are created. You can see we've named them A, B, C, and D. Now, these angles, they aren't just random. They have a very special relationship with each other.
And here's our first super rule, our first cheat code. The angles that are directly opposite each other, you see, like angle A and angle C, they're called vertically opposite angles. The easiest way to remember this is to just think of them as identical twins. They are always, and I mean always, equal. The same goes for B and D. They're twins too.
Okay, now look at angles A and B. They're neighbors, sitting right next to each other on that straight line. We call them a linear pair. Let's think of them as best friends who are always together. And their special friendship rule, they always add up to 180 degrees. Why? Because a straight line is always 180 degrees.
All right, time for a quick pop quiz. If I tell you that angle A is 120 degrees, what's the value of its twin, angle C? Come on, you know this. I'll give you a second. Got it? Of course, it's 120 degrees, because they're vertically opposite twins. See, you've already got this.
Okay, now that we know what happens when lines meet, let's level up and look at some very, very special kinds of lines.
First up, we have parallel lines. Remember those railway tracks? That's what these are. They're on the same flat surface, but they're super disciplined. They always keep the same distance between them, and they will never, ever, ever meet. Not even if you stretch them out to infinity.
And here's a perfect real-world example. Just look at the red slats on this bench. See how each one is perfectly parallel to the next? They will never cross each other, no matter what. That's what parallel looks like.
But what if lines intersect in a really specific, really neat way? Well, that's when we get perpendicular lines. They cross each other so perfectly that they form 4 right angles, and each one is exactly 90 degrees. It's like a perfect plus sign. Now, how do you spot these in your exam paper? It's easy. Look for this little square symbol right at the corner where they meet. That's the secret sign in geometry that basically shouts, hey, this is a 90-degree angle. So whenever you see that little box, you know for sure the lines are perpendicular.
Okay, butcho, get ready for the really interesting part. We've been talking about 2 lines. Now we're going to bring in a 3rd line, a real game changer. Everybody, let's meet the transversal.
So what on earth is a transversal? Don't worry, it's just a fancy word for a line that cuts across 2 or more other lines. That's it. I like to think of it as a gate crasher. You have 2 lines minding their own business, and this transversal just comes along and cuts right through them.
Now look what happens. When this gate crasher, the transversal T, cuts through lines L and M, it creates a whole puzzle of 8 different angles. Whoa! I know, it looks a bit complicated, but please don't worry, because, remember, we have the cheat codes to solve this whole puzzle in seconds.
So here are our 2 master cheat codes. First, corresponding angles. Just look for angles that are in the same corner at each crossing. The super easy trick is to find an F shape in the diagram. The angles tucked under the arms of the F, they're corresponding. Next, we have alternate interior angles. These are on opposite sides of the transversal and inside the 2 lines. And the trick for this one? Look for a Z shape. The angles in the corners of the Z are your alternate interior angles.
Okay, Now listen very carefully. This is the most important rule in the entire chapter, I promise you. When those two lines being cut are parallel, then something absolutely magical happens. The corresponding angles are equal, and the alternate interior angles are also equal. This one single rule, it's going to solve almost every problem for you.
All right, enough theory. The best way to learn math is by actually doing it, right? So let's take a real exam-style question and solve it together using our new superpowers.
Okay, here's our mission. The question clearly tells us that lines L and M are parallel. That's a huge clue. And it gives us one piece of information. Angle 6 is 135 degrees. Our job is to find all the other angles. You ready? Let's do this.
Let's break it down step by step. First, let's find the corresponding angle to angle 6. Can you spot the F shape? Yes, it's angle 2. And since the lines are parallel, angle 2 must be equal to angle 6, so it's 135 degrees. Done. Next, what about the vertically opposite angle to 6? It's twin. That's angle 8, so it's also 135 degrees. Easy. Finally, let's find angle 5. Look, 5 and 6 are best friends. They're a linear pair on a straight line, so angle 5 must be 180 minus 135, which is 45 degrees. See how we just used our rules? It's that simple.
So, let's do a quick recap of your exam's superpowers. You just need to remember these three things. Number 1, vertically opposite angles are twins. They're always equal. Number 2, linear pairs are best friends. They always add up to 180. And number 3, the big one. If the lines are parallel, then the corresponding and alternate angles are equal. That's it. That's the whole chapter on one slide.
And just like that, mere pyare bachchon, you've cracked the code. You've totally mastered the secrets of lines and angles. See, geometry isn't about memorizing difficult things. It's just about understanding a few simple logical rules. Now keep practicing with these rules, and I know you will score full marks in this chapter. All the very best.